Good day, guys. Good day to you all. Good day to you all. Came across an article that I wanted to share with you guys, right? And this article is in the Jamaica Gleaner. Very important article, right? Stuff like this don't get a lot of attention, but the reality of the matter is that these are the things that will really make a big difference in Jamaica's football, because the governance of Jamaica's football has to be done properly. Seeing so things like this don't get a lot of attention, sadly, but it is very important that we highlight things like this. Since I came across this article and I wanted to share it with you guys quickly and give my 2 cents on it. For those of you who might not have seen the article, knock up the like button, subscribe, and share. Free and easy ways to support the channel. The article is in the Jamaica Gleaner and the headline reads, JFF makes headway with restructuring policies. This individual, Dennis Chung, look like he's the new face of the Jamaica Football Federation. No, it appears as if the previous face, Rudolph Speed, has taken a back seat, and this man is now the face of the Jamaica Football Federation. All right, let me get into the article quickly. And it was written by a Livingston Scott. So big up to a Livingston Scott. All right. The Jamaica Football Federation has been making considerable strides in improving the structure of the organization in recent months, and they continue to implement changes and policies to make it more reputable and trustworthy. This is a big deal, very big deal. General Secretary Dennis Chung revealed recently that the JFF has 4 new policies it aims to put in place between now and early next year. He expects these policies to have a positive influence on the operations and the image of the federation. Very important, right? The operations of the federation needs to improve. Chung himself has said so. The image of the federation definitely needs to improve. Chung himself has said so. The image of the federation has been crippling it for years, especially where sponsorship is concerned, and other important things as well. The 4 policies are the sexual harassment policy, very important, often overlooked policy. The whistleblower policy, very important, often overlooked policy. Procurement policies, I don't need to tell you guys how important that is, and a code of ethics, right? Especially the latter 2. You know, I definitely don't need to tell you guys how important those policies are. He revealed that they expect to have the procurement policy approved by the end of the year and the other 3 to be passed by the first board meeting of 2023. Let me read to you quickly for those of you who don't know what a procurement policy might mean. Let me give you guys a quick definition. Procurement is the method of discovering and agreeing to terms and purchasing goods, services, or other works from an external source, often with the use of a tendering or competitive bidding process rather. Right? And an example of this is when a government agency buys goods or services. Through this practice, it is referred to as a public procurement. So that's an example of what a procurement process looks like. See, so it is very important. You know, I mean, there's so many reasons why a procurement policy, a proper procurement policy being put in place is so important. I mean, even from the standpoint of circumventing corruption or possible corrupt practices, right? That's just one example of how important procurement or having a good procurement policy in place is. All right, these policies are trying to put in place, rather, let me start over that. These policies we are trying to put in place is just a matter of time The first one is the procurement policy so that it can be sent to FIFA. We have committed to FIFA that we will get it to them by the end of the year. My question is, was this mandated by FIFA? Is this JFF taking the initiative and doing the right thing? Or is this mandated by FIFA? Either way, we're happy that it is being implemented, but you know, it would get a little bit more gratification if it was something that came about via JFF initiative, right? If they were the ones that said, hey, we kind of need to put these respective policies in place. But it doesn't matter, the policies are going in place, and that's the most important thing. And there are checks and balances from what is being indicated here, right? We have committed to FIFA that we will get it to them by the end of the year. Checks and balances to ensure that the respective policies, especially the procurement policy that they're saying they're going to send to FIFA, is properly done, right? So the change in the statutes, the constitution for the voting are going to Congress to be approved in December, he said. I have sent out the 2021 Congress report, and at the back are all the statutes that will be in place once approved. Then early next year, we will try to implement the sexual harassment, the whistleblowing policy, and the code of ethics. Once these are in place, we think we will have proper governance structure. We think we will have a proper governance structure framework in place for the organization to build on. And I agree with that 100%. He noted that the whistleblowing policy will give the clubs and federation staff the power to address wrongdoings in their organizations without implications. Big deal, listener. This is a form of checks and balances to hold the powers that be to account. Big deal this, right? Hold the decision makers and the powerful people, hold them accountable for their actions, right? Proper whistleblowing policy in place, it will allow the people at the top to think twice about going on with any sort of foolishness. The sexual harassment policy is important for parents to feel a sense of security. Oh, I read that already. No, I haven't. The whistleblowing policy gives staff the ability to point out things that are going wrong and speak to an independent person or authority. Keyword, independent person or authority. Or keywords, I should say. Let me read that over again, because that is very important. The whistleblowing policy gives staff the ability to point out things that are going wrong and to speak to an independent person or authority. Real checks and balances, ladies and gentlemen. What I want to know is, how was the federation being run all along? You're telling me that these things were not in place prior to the arrival of this new GenSec? Pair arms house did I go on in this federation? Jaja. These are just key elements of good governance. I don't know. Anyways, the sexual harassment policy is important because we have so many young kids playing for us, and you want to ensure parents feel safe when allowing their children to participate with football teams. Subheading, preventative feature. This policy will also guide the behavior of those thinking about coming to work with the JFF, but it is a preventative feature to make parents comfortable and for people to feel comfortable knowing there is no conflict of interest in persons being selected, he reasoned. These policies would also be applied internally to also create that type of environment within the federation. Both the whistleblower and the sexual harassment policies have already been developed and have gone to the board for comments. After it is finalized, it will be put forward at the first board meeting next year for approval. Early next year, we want to put those policies in place. There are other policies that FIFA has asked us to implement, such as a procurement policy. Okay, so we get to the root of the matter now. FIFA has asked the Jamaica Football Federation to implement a procurement policy. The JFF has not come about this via its own initiative. It's still good that it is being implemented, but you know, a little bit sad to hear that. We'd have wanted, if the JFF had come about doing this on its own, it would give me a real sense that the JFF is really trying to go in the right direction and do better. You know, still happy that the procurement policy is being implemented. I just would have preferred if this was JFF initiative and not them being mandated to do, well, probably not mandated, but at the very least they have been asked by FIFA. The JFF, FIFA has asked them to implement this, right? That will be in place before the end of the year so we can go to FIFA. And we are working very close with FIFA to ensure these policies are in place. Meanwhile, before and during the 2022 World Cup qualifying campaign, a number of players publicly criticized the federation. More recently, captain and goalkeeper Andre Blake made unflattering comments on the back of the hiring of new coach Al Grimson, while Leon Bailey for the second time made disparaging comments about the JFF in a social media interview. Chung disclosed that they are looking at putting a code of ethics in place to govern player behavior and leaks of confidential information by staff. Is this muzzling that is taking place, or are there proper procedures being put in place to properly deal with and to properly address concerns by players and staff? I hope it is not muzzling, and I hope it is the latter. The board has asked us to look at it, and we will be putting it in place as soon as possible because people are speaking out of turn. A dictatorship, this? Is this muzzling? I don't know. I am merely asking. Players coming forth and addressing their concerns publicly or being able to do so is also a form of checks and balances, and that's just facts. I hope there are proper measures being put in place to address these concerns by these respective individuals. The quote goes on to say, many times it is not factual and it reflects poorly on the federation and it creates a distraction from what we really want to do. So let me ask you a question now, Dennis Chung. Why are there so many individuals that are always speaking so poorly about the JFF, including players? Right? Why so many players speaking so poorly about the Jamaica Football Federation? That's a coincidence? You are telling me that you have no fault to bear where that is concerned? Right? Oftentimes it is not factual. There must be some truth to these allegations, Mr. Chung. Everybody cannot tell a lie upon the JFF like this. The JFF is the common denominator of a number of these accusations of an incendiary nature. So we are looking at crafting a code of ethics policy that would apply to persons in football teams, coaching staff, directors, everybody in the organization will have to follow. That code will also point out what are the consequences for breaches, so it will be very clear what sort of consequences we are looking at. Interesting. He added that they will educate everyone on these policies, but once in place, he is confident that the public will develop greater trust in the organization. On the one hand, I understand the need to prevent it's not an ideal situation for players or anybody to be making public remarks that are not positive about the JFF. It affects the image of the federation, and the image is important. But on the other hand, it's an important form of checks and balances. There will be more trust from people that the JFF is a more transparent and trustworthy organization. We ask people to pay and come to matches, and we ask sponsors to put money into our organization. So we have to be transparent. We believe once these policies are approved, they will definitely make a positive difference. Is preventing players from making public remarks or speaking freely, is that transparency? I don't know. I'm asking. And I hope that there are measures in place to seriously address the concerns of these respective individuals. Guys, hit me up in the comment section. Let me know what you think about this article. Give me your thoughts. Give me your comments. Knock up like button, subscribe and share. Stay safe. Take care, and until next time. To be fair to the JFF, they are making strides. You know, they are improving and they're implementing good, positive changes that will affect governance and the governance of the Federation going forward. Only wish it was of their own initiative and not FIFA, you know, asking them politely to implement these respective changes. Take care, guys.